Hey everyone, I'm Melissa Wick. I own Wick Law Offices, a local law firm here in Columbus where I support small business owners. Today we're going to talk about 6 reasons why you need a really good, solid contract. So listen, if you're a new business owner, you might be really anxious to send your client a contract because you might think, well, they're going to think this is way too formal, or they're going to think that I don't trust them, or they're going to be put off by it in some way, like it's too serious. But I'm here to tell you that it's exactly the opposite. Your clients want you to send them a contract. They want to know that you've thought about the services you're going to provide and you've thought about what can go wrong. And a second point is that verbal contracts are just totally the pits, right? You cannot just have a conversation and then form a contract. I mean, you can. I would never do it though, because guess what, guys? Everyone has different interpretations about that conversation. Even if you think it's as straightforward as could be, believe me, you do not want to conduct business that way. So I'm going to go through 6 reasons why you need a rock solid contract. The first reason is that it tackles fear and uncertainty, right? So your clients may be too embarrassed to ask the details, right? They may have some lingering questions that they want to know more about, but they don't feel comfortable raising them with you. So it's your job as the business owner to bring up all the details so that all the questions can be asked before the contract is signed. Also, your clients might not know enough to ask the right questions, right? So like you can't put it on them to ask you questions about the process, right? It's up to you as a business owner to like give them all the information they need so that they can make an informed decision about the service you're potentially offering to them. The second thing a good contract will do will protect you and your client, right? So this is really important. You want to know what everyone's obligations are from the gate, right? You want to know exactly what you are contracted to do and what your client can get in return, or what they need to do under the contract as well. But my point was that a good contract protects you and your client. It sets the expectation so that everyone knows what they're supposed to do under the contract. The third thing a good contract does is set timelines and boundaries. So what I mean by this is that like your client will know exactly when invoices are due, and they'll know exactly what happens if they don't pay their invoice on time, right? Another thing that this will spell out is like timelines, right? If you need your client to complete a certain task before you can move on to the next phase under the contract, then your contract will spell that out, right? It's gonna address that. It's gonna say that you're not liable if the client isn't following certain parts of the contract that are necessary for you to do your job. The fourth thing a good contract will do will be to prevent scope creep. And so I see this a lot with creatives, or like potentially like web designers, I think face this problem a lot, where they're contracting for a certain task, right? Maybe it's to build a website, but with that there's a lot of moving parts, right? So maybe the client's understanding is that you're going to address certain things like connecting MailChimp, or linking up their social media accounts to the website. There's a million different things that could go into building a website, right? So you want to define exactly what the scope of your contract is, right? So that's what a good contract will do. It'll define exactly, precisely what you are doing under this contract, and maybe even explain what's not included so that everyone is very clear. The fifth thing a good contract does is establish liability ahead of time. So what I mean by that is that, sometimes things go wrong, right? But so a good contract will explain exactly what happens if there's a breach. It will maybe talk about where, if there's a lawsuit, where that would happen, like if it will happen in, Ohio, if it would happen somewhere else. Maybe it would talk about maybe you have to go to mediation before you can file a lawsuit. And then a good contract will also describe what the refund policy is, right? So that way everybody's eyes are wide open when it comes to that. Like maybe your policy is that there aren't any refunds, or maybe there are refunds within a certain amount of time, right? So a good contract will explain exactly what will happen if things go wrong. And the sixth thing a good solid contract does is establish you as an authority, and it also establishes you as a trustworthy person, right? Your client's going to think, if this person is taking the time to make sure I understand the contract I'm signing, that I understand exactly the value that I'm going to get in exchange for paying this person, that's great, right? I mean, and the truth is, you don't want anybody to be surprised by the contract or be surprised when they get a bill from you, right? You want everybody's eyes wide open. Okay, so that's my 6 reasons why you need a good, solid contract. And again, my name is Melissa Wick. I own Wick Law Offices, a small business law firm here in Columbus, Ohio. We support small business owners in all facets of business ownership. If you want to reach out to me to talk more about your contracts, do not hesitate. 614-572-6366, or you can reach me at mwick@mwicklaw.com. Thanks for watching.